Campfires. Oh, I love them. There's just something magical about a campfire. Well, I'm not in any exotic place. I'm in my backyard. But at least I can have a little bit of a campfire here. So, you know, it's not bad. This campfire tale that I'm going to tell you may or may not be true. But like all good campfire stories, well, there's a hint of truth and maybe just a little bit of embellishment. So this story goes back about 20 years, back to my early time in radio. And when I first started in radio, I was doing weekend overnights. And as I became full-time and started moving into other areas of the station, I still had some fill-in shifts that I did here and there. I had been on the job for about 2 years, and this was a Saturday to Sunday overnight shift, which is from midnight to 6 a.m. And during that time, there really isn't a lot going on. You hope that your replacement isn't late. I'm sure many of you have worked overnight shifts before, and you know, you get there, you're full of energy, you're ready to go, and then by like 2 a.m., you're more sitting than standing, and then by like 3 a.m., you hit that wall, and you're just like, I'm done. Your mouth gets all cottony, and you start seeing shadows move, and it's tough. That 3 a.m. hit, that 3 a.m. point, oof, no thank you. We had just moved into the station, into our new studio where we're at now, just a couple of months before. So everything was pretty new. All the construction, all the equipment, pretty much everything was brand new. So this is the backdrop for our story tonight. As I said, we had just moved into the studio a couple of months before, and we had made a transition from playing CDs on the air to playing everything out of a computer automation playout system. It was, you know, a very different feel to it. With the CDs, you were doing things, and now with the computer, you're clicking and live assist. Okay, it's different. But on this particular night, it was extra quiet. It was extra dead, if you will. There was nobody in the station. There was nobody in the 6-story building. There was not even a car on the major road outside. I was alone. Like, there was nobody around. So things got a little quiet, if you will. I had just finished my second break of the hour. And we usually do about 4 or 5 breaks per hour. So I had just finished my second one, and I was hitting that exhaustion while I was tired. So I figured, you know, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna stretch. I stood up, I made sure the automation computer was in automatic. And as I'm looking at the screen, I hear the front door close. And I think, well, you know, maybe it's the security guard from the parent organization coming to check and see what's going on. And so, again, I double check, make sure the automation system is in automatic, that it's gonna play the next song automatically without me having to do anything. So I walk around the console, and as I step across the threshold of the door to the studio door normally closes nice and soft. But this time, the studio door slammed behind me. I was a little shocked by that. So I spun around, trying to figure out what's going on. I grabbed the handle and tried to open the door, and the door wouldn't open. It was as if it was locked from the inside. I was very surprised by this because it's not really lockable. You know, I tried pushing on the door, I tried moving the handle, nothing. This door was locked. About this time, I figure, wait, security guard. So I look over my shoulder to ask the security guard, who I thought I heard come in, for help to see if maybe he can open the door and help me get in. But as I turned around and looked, there was nobody there. There was nobody in the hallway. I could see all 50 feet down that hallway to the front doors, and there was nobody there. At this moment, as I'm looking down this fairly dark hallway with the one security light on, all of a sudden the on-air light for the studio that I just came out of came on. And the little glow from that light gave a little bit more light to the hallway. And I was 100% for sure by that point I was alone. Now this on-air light, it means somebody in the studio turned the microphone on while I'm outside the studio. I didn't turn the microphone on. I spun back around, looked through the window that's right next to the door at the studio, and I don't see anybody in there. There's nobody in there. I'm like trying to look and see, maybe it's somebody playing a joke. Nothing. There's nobody in there. About that time, I hear the last bits of the song in the hallway speakers playing, and then silence. The station's off the air at this point. That on-air light continued to glow above the door, mocking me, as if to say, you should be in here talking right now. But here I am locked outside the studio at this point. I racked my brain, tried to figure out, okay, is there any way that I could get back in the studio? Maybe a window. No, these are all double windows. I mean, the studios are constructed rooms within rooms, so for noise reduction. And so there's no way I'm going through a window. And so I'm thinking about this, and how am I going to do this? And the only other thing that I could think of is going up over the ceiling tiles, over the studio, crawling down next to the building windows and the sliding glass windows that we have in the studio for light. It's a very narrow space, but if I can get in there, I could get back in the studio. If that didn't work, and those doors and those sliding doors are locked, well, remember I said it's about 3 a.m. It's about another 3 hours before my replacement gets there. As I stood there contemplating my options, the red off-air light, the alarm light that we have in the hallway, starts going off and rotating. It's this red light that just spins around, like a police light. We're definitely off the air. So I think, okay, maybe I really did hear the security guard and they're right outside the front door. Maybe they just kind of open the door and poke their head in. So I run down the hallway. I get to the door and I already know there's nobody there. But I look anyways. I open the door, look down the building hallway, the common hallways. There's nobody there. I close the door and I'm standing there thinking, okay, maybe the security guard ducked into one of the offices that are down this hallway, but all the lights are off in the different offices. The doors are shut and there's nobody here. At this point, I'm still facing that front door, trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I, what in the world do I do? And I turn around and I look back down the hallway, about to make that resigned walk back to that locked studio door. And as I turn around and I look, the studio door is wide open, propped open by the little doorstop that we usually have there when we want to prop the door open. The on-air light for the microphone is now off. The red rotating light is off. I start hearing music in the speakers. It's the next song that we're supposed to have been playing. I couldn't believe my eyes. What? Did I dream this whole thing? Did I sleepwalk all the way down the hallway? I'm flabbergasted. I'm standing there like, was this all a dream? I start walking back going, okay, maybe I dreamt it. Maybe somebody's playing a joke on me. So I walk back down to the studio. I kind of ease around the corner in the studio and look. Nobody's in there. I look around the console. There's nobody in there. Under the table, nobody there. Again, I was alone. The mic was in the same spot that I left it. The chair was in the same spot that I left it. Everything was as I left it when I walked out that door. Needless to say, I was wide awake at this point. Being the professional that I am, I passed off my next break as if nothing happened, albeit maybe a little bit more energetic than normally for 3:45 in the morning. The rest of the shift passed without any further incident. My replacement came in 5:55 and we exchanged pleasantries and I clocked out and left. Went home, went to sleep. Didn't think anything of the story again. You know, by the time I got home, I actually was starting to think I really dreamt this. I'd fallen asleep during my shift, and this was all a dream. Years passed, and I kind of forget the story. And one day we're standing in the hallway with a bunch of colleagues, and we're talking about kind of ghost stories or weird things that have happened with them in the past and at other stations. And one of the other colleagues is talking about this story that happened to them a few years back. And as they're telling the story, it sounds really familiar. And I start realizing this is the same thing that happened to me. They must have saw my face. I must have had something on my face, or my eyes were open or my jaw was down, because they look at me and said, "What?" And I said, "Well, where did this happen?" The story that they were telling, where did this happen? And they said, "Oh, it happened here a couple of months after we moved in." I was floored. I said, that same thing happened to me. Like I said at the beginning, every campfire has a little bit of truth and a little bit of embellishment. Where that line is drawn for tonight's story, that's up for you to decide. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you being here, me weaving this tale of ghostly radio adventures. So, if you like the story, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your ghost story that you may have. Whether it's at a radio station, maybe it's a ghost in the machine story. But yeah, leave it down in the comments. I would like to hear it. I'd like to see some other fun things that have happened. I told you what happened to me last year. I'm going to have that linked up here. That was last year's story. And that one was 100% real. While you're here, if you're in the mood for something non-Halloween-y, ghost story-ish, campfire story, watch some of my other videos. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching, and starting to cool down, so I'm changing my clothing to stay warm.